Hello everyone! So I'm continuing a series that I feel like I want to... So this will be... no. So this is the second video in a series that I want to start called Philosophical Conundrum. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a conundrum. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be an equation that needs to be solved. Nor does it necessarily have to have an answer. You know, the point of philosophical conundrums, at least for me in this series, is that I get to talk about things that philosophically, you know, there is no answer to. It's always going to be up for debate merely because it's up to human emotion. There aren't really many facts to prove whether it's right or wrong. That's why it's called philosophy. So I've been dealing with some friend drama kind of recently. It's been really annoying, simply because as someone who's not only an introvert, but as someone who really just hates drama in general, I have such an abhorrence for it because it's so unnecessary. But unfortunately I find myself in this precarious situation because it is between two friends that I have come to adore quite a bit. And so while we were talking about this, while I was talking to one of my friends about this argument that they were having, I always like to play devil's advocate, and I like to always, you know, if I'm with one side of the party, I like to point out the others, you know, and no matter who I'm with, just to kind of help them understand, you know, what points they're trying to get across, but what points the other person is also trying to get across. So as I was talking to these friends, I started thinking about history, because whenever I talk to them, I always like to point out stuff that has happened in my life and kind of, you know, try to compare it to what they're currently going through. And I always seem to find that no matter how many times I tell people a story and why they shouldn't do a certain thing, they do it anyway. And then they find out it doesn't work, and all of a sudden they're coming to me going, Anna, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? And I'm going, no shit, it wasn't gonna work. I told you it wasn't gonna work. And then as I really thought about it, I was like, you know, I can tell them, you know, not to do something. But would it be more beneficial for them to take my advice or for them to learn by doing it? And I came to the conclusion that, yeah, they should do it. You know, you should repeat that kind of history, because I'm pretty sure in the description, you know, with the title, people are probably going, what? Because when you think, oh, some history should repeat itself, you kind of think something a little misogynistic or fascist or sexist or racist or whatever. No, this is on a personal level. I'm gonna give some examples. We've all been in that situation where we've either been this person or been the friend of this person, where they're in a relationship. It's clearly going downhill. It's just not working. And you tell them, you don't want to do this. You know, you need to get away from this relationship because it's clearly not going well. It's either toxic, or it's not a healthy relationship, or it's just, you know, the other person's a bastard. You know, it's just, or a bitch or whatever. Like, you know that they're not good for your friend. So you tell them, you know, don't be with this person because this is not healthy and you need to get away from them. And they'll always say, oh, but I can fix it. Or like, you know, they're not that bad. And you know, the classic of, you know, oh, he's just a little rough around the edges. And my personal favorite, they're a lot different when they're just with me. And like, you listen to this and you just go, what are you thinking? I'm telling you this. And you know, some of you have personal experience with this and have been like, hey, I've been in this situation, and yet they still do it. That's because people need to make mistakes. You know, especially in relationships, you need to figure out what your threshold is. How much can you handle from another person before you kind of stop giving a fuck? Or how much are you willing to sacrifice or compromise before it starts to become a little too much? Like, how much are you willing to give and not get back? Because if you give and then they give it back to you in another way, you know, like in compromising or in sharing or, you know, whatever part of a relationship is, you know, then you really can't count that because you're equally trying. But if you're just giving and then they're just taking it and not giving it back, you have to know your threshold for that. And so I think that's really important, especially in relationships. Another thing, dealing with money. Especially at my age, I'm 21 years old right now, still in college, and I'm still dealing with friends who think that because a friend has given their word about like an apartment or sharing food money or whatever, that because they gave their word, that everything's gonna be fine. Newsflash, no it's not. When it comes to money, you cannot trust anyone. Practically everything needs to be on paper. It needs to be written down. Because people can very easily go, yeah, I have enough money, and then a month later go, no, I don't. I was in a similar situation where I was going to get an apartment with two good friends of mine, and they ended up dropping me. Even though I was the one that came up with the idea, they ended up dropping me because it was easier to find an apartment with, because they were both guys. It was easier to find an apartment with just like one room that was cheaper, that the two of them could rent instead of 3 rooms or 2 rooms for the 3 of us. That was close by. And so another friend of mine was thinking about getting an apartment with a friend, and I was like, you need to make sure that 1, you can get along with this person, and 2, that they're not going to back out at the last second. She didn't listen to me. Of course she didn't. She was like, no, everything's going to be fine. You know, we've already been looking at them. Sure enough, about like 3 weeks ago, it was actually my friend that dropped the other girl because she noticed the crime rate around the neighborhood wasn't so great. And so she was like, yeah, no, I'm backing off. And her and that other friend have actually kind of been arguing at times because you know, now this friend has to go find another person for this apartment to split the rent, because there's no way that she can afford 2 times the rent that she was originally going to pay. You know, and things like that. You have moments where your parents are going to tell you, hey, don't do this because it's not a good idea, and you're going to do it anyway. And we get yelled at and we get told, why the hell did you do that? I told you not to do it. It's gonna go wrong. I've done it a million times with my parents. My friends have done it to me. And it's come to the point where I realize I personally think it's better that we just go through these ourselves. You have to make these mistakes yourself. It's how you grow up. It's how you learn who's dependable and who's not. It's how you learn how to trust certain people and how to not. And it comes with maturity. You know, it makes you more of an adult. Making mistakes makes you more of an adult, because instead of being told not to do something and then never doing it, you don't get to learn from that mistake. You know, a part of me gets really mad whenever my parents personally will yell at me when I do something wrong, because in my head I'm going, okay, here's the thing, it was a tiny thing. This was not a huge incident. And yeah, it went the way that you said it would. Why are you yelling at me when now I've personally learned what this is like, and now I know never to do it again? Instead of listening to you, not doing it, and then a couple of years later deciding to do something similar to that, but on a much bigger scale, and having a blow up in my face. And in that regard, I personally think that is why history should repeat itself. Sometimes. Not all the time. Ooh, not for the big stuff, just the personal moments, not the big stuff. Really don't want another Holocaust. Please. 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 Or another Jim Crow laws. Just like, stop. Just stop. Thank you so much for watching this, you guys. If you enjoyed this philosophical conundrum, you can go right around here to see my first one. It's a really good video on equality, and it goes a little beyond what you thought it would talk about. If you want to see other videos besides my philosophical conundrums, you can go down there, hit that subscribe button down below. Also visit my channel to see other videos. There's also a little bell if you want to ring it. I highly doubt you will, and I honestly don't care if you do. Comment down below if you think that what I'm saying is right, or if you personally think that if someone tells you something, tells you not to do something, that you should listen, and that will make you a better, like, you know, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Give me your reasons why. I love debates. I will start them with you. I will go hardcore on you. I'm warning you, I will go hardcore. So with all that being said, thank you guys again so much for watching my videos. I will see you next time. Bye!